on the screen. Okay. Hey guys, we're back for another episode of Tokenomics and DACs with EOS Ignite. Luke Stokes is from Puerto Rico, going to give us an update on eosDAC, and Justin Giudici from EOS Blocksmith has been with us for the last couple months, really appreciate both of them coming on today, and figured we'd talk a little bit about eosDAC. Luke could give us an update, and then we could probably just go into a further, just discuss eosDAC in general as well. So, and maybe Luke can give us some more insight. So, Luke, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. As I mentioned in the chat, I am tethering off my phone because it's style. We're having a power outage right at this moment. It's actually our third today. So hopefully at some point the power will come back on and I can get to higher speed internet. But you may hear some background noise and stuff. And as you can tell, this room is kind of, an echo chamber. So I'm going to be soundproofing this, getting back to my normal setup eventually. But yeah, I'd love to talk about eosDAC. Is it coming through at all okay? If not, just stop me. All right, cool. It's good to hear. I'm excited. We had a big moment for eosDAC and really DACs in general, if I could be so bold. We launched the custodian voting on Saturday. So the newest version of the eosDAC member client went out. And with that, the big holdup, the thing we've been waiting for and working really hard behind the scenes was getting the foundation in place so that the current kind of fiat funds of the DAC would be better controlled than they were previously, and also a new service provider with Tokenomics. Tokenomics is a company that's basically dedicated to servicing DACs, and that is needed as we start doing our research from the beginning. The joint and several liability, the legal realities of running a DAC, completely above board legal DAC in every jurisdiction that we could possibly do, proved to be very challenging. And so we recognized that we needed to have a traditionally recognized corporation. And we talked a little bit about this on some of our previous shows, that has to contract with the individual workers of the DAC. So the DAC itself doesn't have all these individual contracts, because if anybody messes up, then basically somebody with a lot of money or an ambulance chaser lawyer could come in and just be like, oh, who can I attack on the DAC? And everyone would be liable for anyone's mistake. And in this model, contracting through a service company, there's only one contract the DAC has, and that's with Tokenomics. And that service company isn't a single point of failure because it can be swapped out at any time by the custodians. They could just say, you know what, you're not providing the service we need. We're going to go ahead and bring in a new one. And it essentially, its main mission is to serve the DAC. So in the DAC, the custodians say, hey, this is the work we need done. Then that Tokenomics goes and finds that work from the member community, and they get paid through that process. So that's kind of the structure we have. What I'm really excited about is that we've actually got the structure of the on-chain DAC ready to go. And so what we need right now, actually, I'll go ahead and drop this link. We spent like 3-4 hours on Saturday getting this ready to launch. And once we launched it in classic like developer style, we're all kind of looking at each other going, we did it, it's launched. And then we're like, oh wait, someone has to like do a post about this and tell everybody. So I put this post together after we launched, and just try to explain a little bit about the technical details of the permissions and how they'll change once we hit that 15% of eosDAC token holders voting in custodians. And again, just to kind of back up a little bit, the way the structure is for eosDAC, you have these custodians that are 12 elected custodians voted in by the eosDAC token holders that have signed the Constitution and are members. And those custodians, their main job is just to approve or deny worker proposals. So anything that the DAC accomplishes as a community, this decentralized autonomous community, has to be approved by the representatives of the community. And that process right now has been kind of like, we're using spreadsheets, and we have this kind of Genesis custodian board who've kind of been around from the beginning, and they're kind of just somewhat subjectively kind of deciding, well, what do I think might be valuable for the DAC? And they're kind of approving things as they come in. But once we actually reach that 15% threshold, that's kind of the number we've set to say, okay, now these people that are going to be voted in actually do represent a significant portion of the eosDAC community. Therefore, we're going to give over permission to them, and now they will be the ones directing how funds are used and deciding which worker proposals are approved. And so it's a pretty exciting thing. It's on-chain governance, and I'm pretty excited about it.
I was wondering, Luke, how much do the custodians get paid? Is it a percentage of the rewards that you guys are getting in? How does that work?
It's a great question. I was actually just looking at that today, and I just pushed out a new like an hour ago, version 0.1.4 that lists their requested pay. So if you go through the Constitution the way we've got it set up, and I want to point out too, the way eosDAC is doing our own DAC isn't how all the DACs have to do things. Our goal with building the DAC toolkit in the future is this open source set of tools that anybody can use, configure how they want, and launch their own DAC. We're just trying to, come up with the best version we can, and then, obviously people can customize their own and do it however they want. But the model we have right now is between 1 and 50 EOS. They can, when they submit their candidacy as a custodian, they say, I want to get paid this amount of EOS. And then of the top 12 that eventually get elected, I think it's an average. I'd have to go through the white paper and the code to be absolutely sure, but I think it's an average. And so what was interesting today, I was noticing, I'm like, there's a few community members who I haven't really seen around much, and they're all requesting the max, 50 EOS. And I'm kind of like, I hope that the community that's voting will take that into account. To be like, do we really want to, elect people that are just worried about maximizing their custodian pay? Because ultimately, that would be 600 EOS a week if everybody did that. And I don't know that job really, it's a lot of EOS for the DAC to spend every single month just on people approving worker proposals. I mean, the last 2 weeks, there was only one worker proposal. So you can imagine there isn't a whole lot of work involved in that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for the low number of worker proposals? Is it because it's around like holiday season, like there's less worker proposals?
Oh, yeah, no, I should clarify. Most of the worker proposals at this point, we've been doing this now for a few months, are actually based on like a monthly proposal. And we have what you might consider regular workers with the DAC, and they get paid at the end of the month. And so we've got a whole slew of people. You can go through on our website and look at all those worker proposals. They're still in a spreadsheet, and that's the next major piece that Dallas is working on, which is kind of moving that entire thing on chain, where all the worker proposals will go through this entire process. So it's actually really, I wish I could show you the graphic. We've got a pretty cool kind of like flow diagram of how it's all going to work. And essentially, a member will submit to the custodians, hey, I want to do this work. And with that, they'll also submit their expert and or arbitrator that they will rely on to give an impartial ruling as to whether the work was done appropriately.
Right.
Once that gets approved by the worker proposals, those funds automatically get moved to another account. This is kind of this is all in, being discussed and developed. So please don't hold me to any of this once we actually launch it. But this is kind of the theory as best as I understand it right now.
Yeah.
So then those funds get locked into a multi-signature account that includes the DAC, the worker, and the arbitrator / expert. And then once the work is done, the person comes back to the custodians and says, okay, I've completed the work. And that process then says, okay, and actually I should clarify, this all runs through the service company, Dakoko. So Dakoko is actually the one that is managing this process on behalf of eosDAC. So Dakoko has a contractual relationship with the worker. Dakoko will determine, like, for example, if they need to like have employment taxes or anything like that, that's going to be determined on a per worker basis. And then from that situation, they'll essentially, once it gets approved, the funds then get paid out to the worker once all the work is completed. But if there's a conflict between that, that's where that third party comes in, and they can do a multi-sig. So let's say the third party and the worker agree, and the DAC disagrees, well, the person's still going to get paid. Or vice versa, if the DAC's like, hey, we don't really think you did the work you did, and the expert's like, yeah, you really didn't. I'm not going to approve this payment until X, Y, and Z get done, because that's his reputation or her reputation on the line as well. So we're hoping that model, the idea being is you want to prevent fraud and prevent crime before it happens by using the technology available to us, the multi-signature keys, delayed transactions, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
It's pretty exciting stuff. Like I even think, like I mentioned, the multi-signature keys and time delays. If you check out the link that I linked to, there's I give screenshots of the actual permissions that we're using, and it's pretty sweet. Michael Yates did a great job on this, where if the code is going to transfer money out, then the code also it needs two waits. One, it gives itself, and the second has to come from a 60-minute delay. So unless that happens, unless there's that 1 hour delay, that transaction will fail. It doesn't have the proper authority. So it's kind of a way to prevent a problem with the code. Where let's say the code just completely does something terrible, and all of a sudden, whoa, what the heck? Somebody just exploded our contract and they're draining the DAC of all the funds. Well, we'd be able to jump in there within that hour delay and fix it, which is pretty exciting.
I was also had a question about when you guys pay people, is that do you need to worry about like global tax implications for individual countries that people come from? Because your DAC members are from everywhere, right? Do you need to worry about that side of
Absolutely.
thing, or is it just
Yeah. Well, to clarify, the DAC doesn't need
yeah?
to. Tokenomics needs to. That's the exact reason why the service company was needed. As we looked into it, when we talked more with our lawyers in Anguilla and also in Zug, Switzerland, and all these other places, and we've actually just, I think it was Friday, we published two different posts that I definitely recommend you guys to read over on Steven. And one is about the foundation and how we got that all set up, and the other is about Tokeko, the service company. So those were the two things that were kind of like being developed behind the scenes, and that includes like employees and a desk and everything set up in Tokeko, lawyers, the whole deal. Pretty expensive, and the hope is that once we do this, it'll then be a framework that other DACs can take advantage of, and those service providers, because then through economies of scale, can actually help other DACs beyond just the eosDAC. That's kind of the goal, so that this huge upfront expense that we've had to shoulder won't be necessary for other DACs.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm excited to. Yeah, it's, so. Yeah, and it just maybe a little detail about the workers and then the Coco. So you're talking about workers, those that are actually, actually working on the proposals that actually do the work, and the DAC is like this organization. So it goes to DeCoco, and then the worker is the third piece. Is that kind of how you describe like the?
Yeah, I mean, you could think of the DAC as, and this is, we talked about this even in my presentation on EOS Ignite, talked about how you kind of have these owners of the DAC that are also kind of the members. They're also the workers, and they're also the customers of the DAC. They're going to use the DAC software itself to run their own DACs or provide any services that they want through that ecosystem. And so it's kind of everyone fills those different roles. And the custodians are just elected by the members, by the token holders, to then make decisions on.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, okay. So members, owners goes to the service provider, kind of back to this community that is also doing the work. But I guess that piece with the service provider also allows you guys or everybody to be kind of recognized in the real world, I guess.
And that's what we found out was really important, is that we couldn't actually have we couldn't have a structure that just put everyone at risk, every member of the DAC at risk. And so this way, the contractual commerce side of things is happening through a known structure. And because of that, it's at first I was pretty frustrated about that. I wanted to just be like fully decentralized, no centralization whatsoever. And I think Rob did a great job writing up the post explaining why we eventually had to move that direction. But what I'm encouraged by is the whole point of why we exist, to be an excellent EOS block producer and to be a member community-owned decentralized block producer, and to be a DAC enabler by building all these open source tools. So the idea being, and we're very close, that the worker proposal contract is the next major big piece that we have to launch. And then it's just a matter of iteration and improvement. But once we launch these things, what's exciting to me is that I'm hoping we see all kinds of different DACs at that moment. And some of them might be what you consider a dark DAC, or maybe they don't want to bother. Maybe their own community doesn't. Maybe they're all within a jurisdiction that doesn't have any of these concerns. Maybe they can structure their DAC in a completely different way that it doesn't really matter so much as far as how the government sees them. These are the kind of things that get me excited about more liberty, more freedom, more opportunities to create better forms of.
Yeah, I'm excited, Luke. You froze up here a little
that aren't based on,
but
whoever has the biggest military.
Well, it was a very positive thing. You froze up a little bit, Luke, but we kind of could tell what you were talking about, how big of a difference this can make. So, yeah, and I'm excited because we're in the local area. This is kind of the conversations we're having, Justin and I, and everyone in the San Francisco kind of EOS community. We're trying to push the idea of DACs as much as possible, but there is a balance between kind of the traditional structure. So we'll with kind of you guys taking the lead, we'll definitely collaborate and just kind of just find ways for us to kind of use your model. And he's kind of having to a little. I don't know if he's waiting to reconnect, but yeah. Hey, Justin, I think it's great. I mean, we could just really. I want to get like I still have to kind of get well, hopefully he'll come back, but I have to get my I have some eosDAC tokens, but I still have this ERC20 kind of freeze. I never kind of.
Oh, no, you didn't transfer it across?
I haven't yet, but I'll do it today because otherwise I was like, okay, I was just too lazy, and then I just use EOS from other EOS from like from exchanges that I moved over and things like that. So but I'll do that today. Otherwise, I was trying to just buy eosDAC as well, right? I was going to just say, oh, it's maybe quicker, but it's quicker either way. I mean, I could just kind of use the ERC20.
We should get Justin Buck on if he has a camera. He's probably at work actually, so I don't know if he can. But he's part of eosDAC as well.
Yeah.
So he probably has a lot of knowledge in that area.
So Justin, do you want to get on the webcam? Oh, hey, Max, how's it going, Max? Max is still. So we got a lot of local guys here.
Luke just said, I think my internet connection from my phone isn't able to make it happen. Sorry, all. Yeah, that's okay, Luke.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely. Oh, so Justin is working. So yeah, hey Luke. Yeah, feel free to just try back. As when your phone or power is back on. So yeah, so
exciting stuff.
Yeah, exciting stuff. So I want to kind of get started. So today I'll definitely kind of get in as a member. Justin Buck put in the link for members.eosDAC.io. So I'm going to sign up for sure today and make sure I'll probably just unfreeze my I just use my ERC20. Do you know where other? I'm just for everybody maybe that just doesn't have eosDAC. They're new. Like, where do you buy it on the exchange?
I think Justin Buck was saying you can get it on Udex. Yeah, Udex.io.
.io. Okay.
I think there's a few other places as well.
Okay, so Udex.
Yeah, that's the governance token that allows you to vote on issues, I guess, and vote people in. I wonder if we'll see like whales just buy the DAC token and vote themselves in.
Was that?
Probably. I wonder if we'll ever see like a whale just buy up a bunch of kind of vote their own people in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting question, maybe for Luke. So you're worried that people might accumulate tokens and vote
potentially, but yeah, might be. I think whales have other things to do though, so it's probably not their concern. But yeah, there's better ways to make money.
So whales can vote their custodians in, but there's a governing model behind it, so it'd be good to look at. Yeah.
No, it's fair enough.
So I was going to ask more about like what. Okay, so it's the worker proposals. Like what, Luke? Like if you're still in the audience, I'm wondering, is it these projects that are so are these worker proposal projects mainly just to help the DAC ecosystem? I mean, what worker proposals do you foresee on the system? I mean, can people propose any kind of project, and it's just up to the people, and it's more is there some flexibility there? Or I mean, because you guys have a mission, I'm sure, to just okay. So I'm going to look at eosDAC.io, and there's active worker.
Maybe we should get it up on the screen.
Sure, I'll do that.
It sounds like they're really diversifying their revenue streams, like still on theme with DACs, but like to offer sort of a contracting party where they can help other DACs get started. I think that's going to be great. I'd really love to see eosDAC expand kind of beyond block production, which it sounds like they're doing. Obviously, a big part of block production is helping the community in every way possible, but I'd love to see more commercial money coming in to help support the community, because it's going to be growing constantly. I guess it's already a really big community, so it'd be good to see people being able to earn more and more.
Oh, okay. So that's just an image. So, so let me see. Wait. So let me make sure I'm. So click the image. Oh. So okay. Click. All right. So, wow, there's a lot of activity here.
That's the power of a DAC, right? That you can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's like what we saw on Telos, where we had like over 100 different contributors on a project. Like, you can just expand as an entity or a community so quickly when it's completely open for people to contribute, and you don't need to go through like a massive process to onboard.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I assume, this is, on Google Docs, and eventually everything is going to be on the blockchain, right? So, but this is awesome. I mean, it was like very detailed. It was, it's a lot of contributors, it seemed like, and I'm scrolled at the end here. So let me go back. So a lot of contributors, it has, just all the details, and it gives a block explorer link to show, like, the transaction number. So there will be an on-chain version, and it's being developed. There's a GitHub link that we'll put all these links on the YouTube video. So yeah, this is exciting. I really want to work and collaborate closely with you guys. Just because I think this is really what I feel like is the future, right? Organizational. That's the benefits of blockchain. I mean, we have money, and then I always think organization is number two in terms of just immediate, just natural impact. So being able to organize this way, just new kind of organizational structures. So. So,
how many? Just a question for Luke and Justin. How many individual contributors are there on eosDAC at the moment? I'd love to just get that insight into like how big this has become. So, within it's only been like 5 months or so since EOS launched, and I guess they did start a bit earlier, but. It's good to get that insight of how big you can grow a company without like a major investment. Because like to expand to a large number of contributors in a company, like you'd need, $1 million investment plus, you know what I mean? Probably more like.
So.
Luke's saying it's interesting how some people have joined the DAC, participated, and some have moved on to other things. It's quite fluid, which is great. And I can totally agree with that. That's one of the things that has made me fall in love with this concept is the fluidity. Sorry, I can't say that word. Fluidity of it, like being able to get in, see how you gel with the community, and or maybe you just have one little thing that you want to add and then get out, like just that ability to do that. And there's no hard feelings about it. it might give you ideas for other projects, and then you move on to those. Like I imagine there being like lots and lots of different DACs that you want to contribute to, like over the year or even your week. So it's quite amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So this is kind of an area maybe we can skip to, which I'm interested in as well. And yeah, in the fluidity kind of point, yeah, that's I think that's great. You know, people could just hop in whenever they have time. They could maybe take a break and come back. So it's very flexible. I think flexibility is the future of work as well. Like that, people don't have to be tied down for 2 years or 3 or 4 or 5. You know. Or 10 even. So so this is great. I think even the millennial generation is just like everything's like instant. Everything's like, you know, fluid. And I think that's the trend. One downside though is, you know, if you develop an expertise in an area and familiarity, that's the other maybe concern where, oh, you know, you've built this understanding and experience around something, and maybe if it's too fluid, then you know, you might have a little bit of kind of a loss of expertise over time. So let me see. So Perry asks, "Hey Luke, worker proposals are they pegged to fiat or EOS?" And Luke says they can specify which they prefer. I think that's an extra charge if they want fiat. Most are done in EOS. So that's great too. You can get fiat if you want. So
is there any component that's paid in the eosDAC token itself? That's a question I have. And is there an inflation on eosDAC? Luke's saying no, not currently, and there's no inflation.
cool.
That's interesting.
So
so the custodians could possibly vote to change that, I guess.
okay.
Yeah, he's saying the custodians, they will have control of the DAC to change things according to the will of the token holders. Yeah.
And I like that model. It's really it's similar. It's somewhat similar to the corporate model where you can really issue as many shares as you want. You're not tied to a certain let's say, you know, I say for if you're like a commodity type token, it's okay to have like a preset supply curve for tokens. But if you're more of an organization, you know, the typical structure is that you can issue shares over time to give to new contributors and you know, dilute to share in your equity so that you can incentivize more people to come in and contribute. So that to me is if you're too strict with the kind of the I guess the inflation rate and the I think you don't have as much flexibility. So I like that the DAC controls that. So maybe we could read what Luke says about that. So the exciting thing about this system is it's decentralized, not just one private key controlling the smart contracts or the tokens. Right now, there's no inflation and no additional tokens to be added. They would have to agree to modify the constitution via resolution to change that. So, yeah, this is great. I mean, it's you know, it's
interesting. There's structures being added into like the DAC over time, but it's still fluid. Like at the end of the day, it's the will of the people that keep those custodians in place. So it's not like so solidified like a normal corporation is. Like it's very hard for someone to go out of their position as a leader, as a manager. Like and really it's very centralized in the way that would happen, that someone would get replaced. But this, you have these people who are voted in. It's very liquid, and they can make decisions. If people don't like that, they can be voted out.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot more fluid that way. So let's sounds good. Buck has to take off. So yeah, we'll put all the links on the YouTube video when we get this out too. So thanks Justin. And we should. Do you want to go over eosDAC, and then I wanted to go to the DAC chain initiative. That sounds cool. Like I wanted to get into this the white paper. They have a white paper on that, but maybe we should just step back and talk a little bit about a DAC in general. So Luca also has a link on that as well. Because yeah, Justin, I was talking to Justin just recently about this, and I think eventually, we're going to have a lot of DAP chains, right? And I think, there's benefits to having your own chain in terms of not having to kind of minimizing kind of the progression of using resources, and because we have CPU or RAM issues, all of that. If you start with even just 3 or 4 or 5 nodes and you start these DAC chains, I think it just makes sense. And especially if we have interoperability, I think that's just the trend. I see Everpedia is going to do their own chain. I see, Ono already started with, and so Wax already so there's already this idea that, hey, we're going to, and that's the way we decentralize. I think EOS will probably be, and we spoke about this, Justin, maybe a reserve currency, an exchange chain, so that it's kind of the glue that brings all the DAP and DACs together. But other than that, you don't have to create these DAPs just on EOS, it seems. As long as the interoperability happens, I think that's going to be the big challenge, the bottleneck, how to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But once that is there, which is, I think, the trend, even outside of EOS, there's all these projects that are trying to do that. But, within EOS, of course, it's going to be a lot more efficient if we use EOS to just kind of communicate with EOS chains. But I think that's where the DAC chain initiative kind of falls into to place, where, yeah, we can, create all these new chains, experiment, and just have these alternative, DAP and DAC chains. And
yeah, definitely.
Yes,
I'm starting to wonder, because I really see these DAC or DAP chains spinning up and connecting into the main nets. I'm wondering if eventually they'll take a faster form factor than say the mainnet chain, which maybe needs to be super more decentralized and more secure, but maybe the DAP chains can be less nodes, or find another factor where it runs more efficiently. And then I don't know, I was reading a bit about the Loom network on Ethereum. And the way it works sort of is you have a user interacting with a DAP, and basically it uses a state channel. And basically, if the user and the DAP say it's a gambling app, if there's no issues and they both agree on what has occurred, then there's sort of an acceptance of what transactions happened, and that goes on to the main chain. And there's not much CPU spent on the main chain because of that. It's just sort of accepted. But if there is sort of a disagreement with what happened, then it gets replayed on the main chain. And somewhat the loser has to pay for that to be replayed onto the main chain, and what the costs are. And it sort of made me think maybe there's efficient ways to run a DAC or a DAP chain that doesn't need to work in the same way that the main chains need to work.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because that gets into the second layer solutions.
Yeah.
State channels, Lightning Network, where there's some sort of dispute resolution, as you mentioned, but you're offloading a lot of the a lot of the transactions off chain until until there is a dispute. So I think that's true. I think there's ways to use that type of layer 2 technology as well. So
it certainly will help solve the scaling problem on the mainnet. When not that it's become a problem quite yet, but you can see maybe in the future there being problems like that.
Yeah. So, and I think, definitely that's a way to do it. We're kind of like, we have these side chains, but even the side chains could be less decentralized with, let's say, like we mentioned, like 3 nodes. I think 3 nodes is a good start. You just have 3 nodes, just run it, and and then try to grow from there. Because to me, as a startup, you just have to get traction first, right? You don't expect to kind of have like billions or millions of users off the bat, and you don't need that kind of decentralization if you're just trying to see if you could get a few hundred or 1,000 people, right? It's like so real quick, I think
it could be like the highways and the roads. That's where I sort of see it. Like the main chain is the highway, and then you have the roads and the side streets that are a lot smaller, but they serve the purpose that they need to serve on that street.
Yeah, that's a good analogy for sure. Sorry. I think Mel says he can only hear one person, and that's something I have to go ask Crowdcast. That happens often. I actually see a little glitch here too, but don't worry about it. But I see this line on my screen. I don't know if you guys see. But that's a video kind of glitch. But anyways, there's audio. I'll talk to the guys, but hopefully they'll fix any kind of audio issues. So let's maybe, should we go maybe try to do a summary of like eosDAC? So my mic is coming in hot too, or
it might be turned up a tiny bit high.
Okay. So is this better? I don't know which way is up or higher or lower. Can you hear me?
Oh, you can't hear Jun. I think it's just on Mel's side. You might need to just refresh your page, Mel. I think a lot of people have had those sorts of issues we've seen recently.
Okay.
So
let's go and maybe review the high level on eosDAC.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the best thing, Luke, if you're still here, to look at? Is it the white paper or the website? What's I don't know if the white paper is the original one. Is the best resource? Because I know, when you write a white paper, it's like after time you might need to kind of adjust it. That's why people use GitHub sometimes. So Luke says they're working on a new website, which will help a lot. Okay, so the website is, so let's go through the website, and things might change, but let's just go over and see what we could find, and let me know if I'm going to be looking at this screen here. So if you could just we could just work together. There's also a Discord, discord.io/eosDAC to connect with the community. That's also probably a great way to just get immersed. So membership right here, just go ahead and click the membership, and you could sign in with Scatter.
It's looking really sleek.
Yeah. So, and there's the Discord channel here too. So that's another way to get there. So let's go back. So I was looking at the roadmap, and it seems as though this is a little detailed. So let's roadmap, team, operations, enabling DACs. So maybe let's just go to the team next real quick. Everyone's part of the team. Custodians. These are the 12 custodians that are being voted on right now. The current team, you have kind of the 12 custodians already, and then probably other people, or at least a certain number of custodians, right? So
they even got a dog in there. That's good. Not restricted to humans.
Usually they have the the anonymous guy, right? He's probably a security guy. EOS communing the world. Okay, enjoying. Okay, cool. So that's cool. So yeah, I know Michael, Luke. There was an Andrew, I think, on the Telegram channels recently that I got into some chat with. So operations, DAC operations. So this is more of the BP stuff. Oh, they have where their nodes are, I guess. It's pretty good. So you got one in Spain, England. I don't know where that's my geography. Somewhere in the where is this? I don't. My geography's so bad.
What's right of Italy? I think that's Italy on the left of it.
Yeah. So
Spain. I don't know. I'm kind of bad at geography as well.
All right, so let's get back here. Albania, here says.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for the lesson there, Perry.
Let's have a game. Everyone guess what country it is, and we get Luke to confirm it.
I gotta pull out Google Maps. but where's the other one? So that's it's next to Japan. It's probably I was seeing. Is it Korea or
Japan? I don't know.
I think Korea's on that. Yeah, Korea. So
yes, Korea is one of them.
Which island? So you have it on an island too. It must be on there's an undersea cable. I assume this is kind of one route of our infrastructure, or internet backbone infrastructure. So I don't know where this last one in the Caribbean. West Indies. Okay, cool. Anguilla, West Indies. So that's cool. So yeah, nice to see it spread out and decentralized. I think that's a key point with the infrastructure to be decentralized. So August 2018, eosDAC has about 850,000. IncomSec is the company. That's the service provider. And all assets. Okay, that's cool. What was the other part? This is the agreement. This is the agreement that the blockchain DAC has with the real world organization and governance. There's the Constitution. We could just check that out real quick. Oh, is this it? Maybe. Okay, so it's right here. So it has definitions. Oh, we could probably click on it. Let's just see it real quick. I know this could be another long episode just on the Constitution. So they have definitions, principles. This is kind of, and this is probably what the worker proposals will just use as just anything that helps these principles of mission of eosDAC is what I assume most of the worker proposals will be about. But anyways, this is an open and transparent, excellence of service. So there's just a lot of core principles, tokens of membership. Initial number of DAC tokens is 1.2 billion. So it's kind of a membership type agreement here. Obligations of members, voluntary cancellation of DAC tokens, transfer of DAC tokens. So just some details there. Proposals and voting of members. This is about this is for the custodian board. There's 12. Is Luke, maybe, is there any? Oh, okay. It's sorry. It's not IncomSec anymore. It's Dakoko is the name of the service provider. Um, so this is interesting too, and I think Telos had an advantage, and I think maybe eosDAC has an advantage. So in order to claim or actually use your eosDAC tokens, I assume um, you have to agree to it by there's some opt-in system where you kind of agree to this, right, as a user agreement or as a membership agreement. You can hold and use the tokens, but not be a member until you agree. So I like that. So this opt-in model is great, and that's the trouble with EOS, because there's some attempts to try to get opt-in, but most likely people aren't opting in. They could use their command line wallet or whatever. So it's a lot of people aren't opting into the EOS governance. So eosDAC is different, and I think Telos also had an advantage where you have to claim your tokens to be part of it, and so it becomes more of a contract at that point. It's without that, that's why I figure EOS is better. It's just not to deal with kind of membership in general and just try to be more code is law, rather than trying to make it an agreement between users. So, but if you do have an opt-in system like eosDAC, I think it works well. So power of the custodian board, administration of assets and liabilities of the DAC. So anyway, so they have that proceedings. So just, I'm sure they probably have how often people are supposed to meet, or how they, usually there's a lot of process. Yeah, so there's video, audio, it's email is accepted as a form of communications, conflicts of interest, indemnification. This might be a little tricky, but this is a legal thing, but I won't, because it's the whole principal agent kind of issue when you have an organization. Like boards have certain duties, I guess, for shareholders, and so anyway, so this I'll take a look at it, but we'll see how that is. A distribution of assets to members, accounting, audit notices, dispute resolution. So there is a London Court of International Arbitration. So is there an internal dispute resolution, Luke, or or is that the official one, the London Court of International Arbitration? And it's just kind of curious to know why that was chosen. So okay, so yeah, maybe I just was curious about the dispute resolution amendment of it. It's just like contract severability. These are all kind of contractual clauses, and some more definition. This is what is this? Binding agreement, terms and conditions. So there's a terms and conditions as well as this constitution. So this looks more like what you would see in a typical website. So okay, so this gets pretty long. Okay, cool. So all right, that's awesome. So any questions? So that's the constitution. What else do we have here? Enabling DACs. I think I like this. I want to get to this. eosDAC is providing advice and assistance to the following DAC projects: to use the EOS blockchain to launch their decentralized and self-governing projects. Beehive Buds, they sell CBD oil. That's cool. I heard recently that hemp is now legal to grow everywhere in the U.S. federally, or just, I mean, it's legal to grow. It used to be prohibited. So anyways, that was a recent thing I heard, and I have to verify that. Codim, which is cool, Git-based code market where code owners can license their code under.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Code.
What was that?
I'm really excited about what Coding is doing.
Yeah, it's
their
you know
marketplace.
they should really work with the Nougat guys too. I don't know if
Definitely.
so, but this is cool. So yeah, code. Parcel, I know Parcel. This is supply chain for the medical cannabis industry. M&A, do you know M&A?
Yeah, yeah. Aussie guys.
Aussie guys, music.
Yeah.
And then Karma, of course, we had a couple weeks ago, which is, incentivizing, good deeds. Yeah, that's good. So that's great. Those are the ones. We'll have a lot more when we start kind of incubating companies here in the local area. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah. So hey, Luke. Yeah, thanks for all your help. If you have to take off, power's going low. I think with this in Puerto Rico. So. We'll keep going at it. We'll send you the video to, if we'll cover maybe a little bit more, and I really appreciate it, Luke. Maybe we'll do another follow up as well. So I love. I mean, it's essentially our whole like webcast is about tokenomics and DACs, and this is like in the forefront of DACs. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to discuss and collaborate on. So really appreciate it, Luke. So cool. So all right, Justin. So I think we covered, the about section is usually pretty good. What do you think? Should we go maybe token details just to see a little bit about
I gotta head off, but
okay.
we can go through it quickly.
Okay, so this just gives us the market data. 3.8 million market cap right now. This is the Token Explorer. Okay. We should do the DAC chain initiative. Okay, these are the exchanges that I know Justin mentioned new DACs. So we should go maybe in the next episode. This is getting some updates here. So this is more about. So I assume the DAC initiative is we should dig into. So this gives us a good idea of eosDAC itself. It's a BP, a decentralized BP. It's got a worker proposal system. A lot of things going on. I'll definitely join as a member today, and just kind of dig into all the tools they have for members. But maybe the next episode, or maybe it doesn't have to be the next one, but we could talk about the DAC chain initiative.
Definitely
for the next episode, because I think I really want to kind of get started with all the projects I'm personally working on, and all the ones that we're kind of helping incubate. At least have this as an alternative way to structure their companies. I think a lot will want to do this rather than just starting with the traditional company. But when the tools are there and it's easier for people to do that, I think that can make a big difference. So,
definitely.
So
I think it's one of the big startup dilemmas. Like when you start up a company, you don't know how committed all the individuals will be, and the fact that you can form a DAC, and if there's a way that people can pop in and out and help out as they're needed, that's going to be huge. I think it makes it's an easy choice when it's all ready.
Yeah. Once you go DAC, you won't go back.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That should be the same.
So, I think I like this. This is exciting. I mean, it's still kind of in the early stages, but I think for a lot of, startups are all experimental. So I think it doesn't, you can. I think it's worth it even just to do, especially if it's more of a, just more of a speculative type startup. If you only have you just want to kind of throw your idea out there and see I think even if it's a kind of, I mean, so you just have to balance it. I mean, there's certain advantages you have in kind of the traditional structures and being kind of compliant with all the physical jurisdictions you're in, and then there's advantages of being outside if it's certain types of businesses, especially, and then if it's and I think you could do a lot more with the tools that we have right now to just start with it, anyways, regardless of if it's a little bit early days. So, anyways.
I wonder if we'll see. I think we'll see like an Uber kind of push the laws a bit in terms of like DACs.
Yeah, absolutely.
They already did that with the way that they contract their staff. Like, if we get a company like Uber who just pushes that a bit further and makes it a bit more flexible, that would be nice, I think, because it sounds like eosDAC is going through a lot of hurdles to be compliant with all the laws around the world. It'd be nice to simplify that, but maybe it's just a solution for companies like the one that, what was it called, on Tokenomics. Maybe that's a solution that companies like that will handle, but I don't know, I'd love to see a way for us to just completely sidestep it.
Yeah, Tokenomics. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. We can experiment even further. I think the Tokenomics model is good. I mean, we should definitely I think that's. So there's various models we could use. We could use the Tokenomics model. We can, for some businesses, that probably makes sense. Just do a pure DAC, just go for it, and just we're sheltered by technology, and I think there's certain good use cases for that.
Will an element of anonymity solve the problem as well? Like, if the people involved aren't known, then who is the law going to come after? So that's where a privacy token might come into play when that's available.
Yeah, that's true too. So that's another use case to make it fully private. I think you're still protected even if you're public, but yeah, you can be a target. So I think it's harder to go after individuals than companies. It's harder. So even though you're public in a DAC, if you're all on the blockchain cloud, it's hard for regulators to actually go after you anyways, but they can. So if they do know you, they'll try to make an example of you. So, but so the anonymity can help with those. But anyway, so that's exciting. I'm totally whether it's early or not, I'd rather do all of the businesses. I'm purely on a DAC. So, but anyway, but it's good to. I'm trying to help whatever people are comfortable with, whatever, like a hybrid version or even traditional companies. I'm fully on board, just helping out. But me personally, I just want to go pure DAC. Right? But so okay, so. All right, so I think that's cool for today. Any last words, Justin? You're working on Telos, I know, very hard. You're busy with that. What's
everyone vote Infinity Block on Telos?
Okay, yeah. So,
but yeah, Telos is underway. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of under the pump at the moment. I do lots of work with Telos. Helped kind of build it out, get it on exchanges, get dApps to come on board, and just helping to coordinate and publicize it. So yeah, everyone start voting with your Telos tokens. So if you were in the snapshot for EOS, then you will get tokens in Telos. You just use the same public and private key. Go to the Telos Foundation website, download the Squirrel wallet, and claim your tokens and start voting.
I'll do that all at the same time. So I'll get the eosDAC tokens and the Telos tokens.
And that's your job for today, Jim.
Yeah, play around with all the great tools out there. So, all right, Justin. Yeah, good luck with everything there. And but yeah, we'll see you probably next week to do another episode. I don't know what it's a holiday, so. But it's okay. I mean, if it isn't like Christmas,
We'll
do it. So it actually is the 20. Isn't it 25th? That's Christmas, right? So That's a Tuesday, so maybe we'll have to skip out. Oh my! So we have January 1st, New Year's Day is another Tuesday, and Christmas is Tuesday. So what do we do?
Yeah.
Should we? I want to kind of, we could take a break for the holidays, but what do you think? We'll see. If we do, we'll do another day because that's Christmas.
Yeah, it might be hard to do it on Christmas Day. I don't know if we'll get many viewers.
Yeah. We could do a quick one, just a joint celebration. I don't know. We'll do.
Maybe.
We don't have to do this webcast because it's just you.
We could pre-record it.
Yeah, that's true too. We could do that. We'll do another episode. Hopefully, maybe one day before during the holidays, and if anything, we'll do it beginning next year as well. So, anyways, thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll see you guys next time. And thanks, Justin.
Cheers, John.
All right, have a good one.
Have a good Christmas, everyone.
All right,
bye.
Take care.